AS members, welcome. I'm very excited about today's interview. This is the first time that we are joined by a partner as part of D&I Live, and Bekkie Freitas, her story is really, really intriguing, and I think is going to be of major interest to our membership today. There are so many people that have had similar experiences, similar challenges and obstacles, and Bekkie, who will be able to introduce herself in a short while, is going to be able to tell you all about that, how she's overcome them and had immense success in reaching partnership earlier this year. We're going to talk about how AS actually helped Bekkie early on in her career, her experiences, how things have changed since then. AS has certainly changed, the profession certainly has changed as well. So we're going to be covering all of those things, including how she sees the future for others like her from her background, what she is doing personally to mentor and support those individuals to get into the profession so that they can follow in her footsteps, putting her hand back down the ladder, like we always say at AS, to help others, to pay it forward as it were, to assist those with those insights, with that support, which clearly is very much at the heart of what AS does and what AS members are doing and AS alumni are doing all of the time, and Bekkie embodies all of that. So she'll be joining from the Ringrose Law account, where she is a partner, and I'll be bringing Bekkie on in just a short while to introduce herself once we get that set up. So I'm just going to check how we're getting on with that. Really keen to get as many of your questions today as possible about how things have been for Bekkie and how things are going for her right now. So we have got Ringrose Law. I'm just going to extend that request. We should be able to split the screen any second now and get Bekkie on to join us for today's episode of D&I Live. Just give me a few moments. Hi, Bekkie. Can you hear me okay? Just giving it a moment to connect there, but we have got Bekkie on the line. Just checking her audio now. Can you hear me okay, Bekkie?
I can, yes. Can you hear me?
Very well, thank you. Welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to have you join us today. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you so much. Been in court this morning, so going back this afternoon.
We're very busy and you squeezed us in, so we really, really appreciate that. We're going to be talking a bit more about your career and what a day in the life of being a partner in Ringrose Law is like. So I think it's going to be quite different to some of the other guests that we've had on this D&I Live series so far. So before we kick all that off, how's your summer going?
It's okay, been very busy. Hopefully going away on the 28th to Greece, but until then, working every day.
Fingers crossed for you. I've seen it's been absolutely sweltering hot in Greece the last few months, so hopefully it'll cool down a little bit by the time you get there, so you're not having these 40-degree climates. But very exciting, and hope that all goes through. So before we dive into your background, your story with AS and all of those great things we'll be talking about, do you want to just tell us about your current job right now, and what a day looks like for you? I know no day is probably the same, but what's that like for you?
Yeah, so I am a criminal defence solicitor and also obviously a partner at Ringrose Law. So my day varies depending on who gets arrested, who's in court, which court. I predominantly cover Lincolnshire, but also cover Nottinghamshire, Northampton. It depends where my clients end up really, to where I'll be. So this morning I was at court with two people. It's gone off for sentencing, so I've rushed over to our Sleaford office to do this, and then I'll be going back to Lincoln for my client to be sentenced this afternoon. So it's all about providing legal advice and assistance and support to the people of Lincolnshire really that need somebody on their side, and that just happens to be me most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Rushed off your feet. And Lincoln, I think, very much is where the heart is. We're going to sort of jump into your background now. I know that's where you went to university. Tell us a bit about your background, where you grew up, and then before you decided you wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah, so I am from Cranwell, which is the tiniest village in the world. We have one social club, 2 shops, and that is about it. I've always lived there, desperate to get out when I was a teenager. Didn't, and then stayed. And now raising my boys there with my husband, who also works for Ringrose Law. He's a senior associate criminal solicitor also at Ringrose. So I went and did my GCSEs as any normal teen would. Decided to go and do some A-levels, and it just so happens that all of my A-levels got discontinued because there wasn't enough sign-up. So I decided to go to college instead. Ended up at college doing travel and tourism randomly for a number of months, decided that wasn't for me, and decided to leave college. So I have no A-levels at all. I've never done any A-levels or any further education other than my undergrad. Had my children, got married then had children, and decided that I would go to university, as my husband was serving military personnel at the time, and he said, go and do something for yourself. So I decided to go to university, went to Lincoln University open day, got speaking to a lecturer in the queue who at the time I just thought was another person applying to go to university, and kind of said, oh, it's going to take me a while, I'm going to have to do open courses to get my A-levels. And he kind of said, why? Just apply, you're a mature student, you've got other things that you can bring, as long as you've got your GCSE maths and your GCSE English, all's good. So I applied and then started that September. My marriage sadly broke down in my first year of university, so then I was a single parent to 2 under 6-year-olds. So I worked full-time at a bar at night and at weekends, and I also did full-time undergrad at Lincoln. Thoroughly enjoyed it at Lincoln. Decided to go to De Montfort to do my LPC, which again was full-time, but happened to be on a Monday, Tuesday, which means that I could work in the bar on the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and also at night. So I was full-time again, both, having to take out a loan to pay for my children's extortionate nursery bills. At the time, you couldn't get a loan for your LPC, so I had to get a loan for that also. So it was kind of loans coming out everywhere, but I knew that I wanted to be a solicitor. In my first year of undergrad, I got some work experience at Ringrose Law for a week in the personal injury department. On my last day, they kind of said, what are you doing for the rest of the summer holidays? I had plans. I had no childcare, but I said nothing. I'm not doing anything, as you would, and never really looked back. Stayed there for the whole of the summer, and then my contract came to an end, so I left and went back to university, and that's when I came upon Aspiring Solicitors.
Wow. That's great to hear about. So many different challenges, so many things you were juggling at so many different times. I'm sure that's set you up very well for a career in law, just as you've been describing to us earlier. And you've told us that you just knew that you wanted to be a lawyer. Was it the work experience with Ringrose that sort of convinced you, or was it just something that you've always kind of believed in, that that's something that you'd like to do?
I think it's something that my nan had always wanted me to do, to be fair. It was either a lawyer or a teacher. And I think being at home, I was a stay-at-home mum before I went to university, worked part-time in a bar at night, and that was the right time. So when I was supported by, obviously, my then husband to go to university, I took the chance and thought, yeah, this is what I want to do, not really realising how hard it can be to get into the legal profession.
Absolutely. And I think there's a number of AS members that will be able to relate to some of the experiences you've talked about, and that difficulty. You're finding that you're having to fund yourself, do the work within university, then also do the work outside of that, around the clock. I mean, how did you find the time to even begin thinking about getting work experience or looking for organisations like AS? How was that physically possible, do you think?
Dedication, I think, and working. I would work until 11 p.m. when the bar closed, go home at 11, hug my mum for looking after my children, and then work till 2 in the morning on my university work, and then go to sleep at around 2:30 and wake up at 6:30 with the children. So it was all about, I must have applied, I would say, for about 50 training contracts. It was soul destroying, getting there. You don't have enough experience. Well, I can't get experience because you won't give me the experience. And not having A-levels. So at the time, obviously things have changed now. But in 2010, 2011, it was, they wanted you to have the AAB or the AAA at A-levels, and they wanted you to be at the correct university, and Lincoln University wasn't up in the charts back then. So it was difficult. So I wasn't even getting past the first stage, really. I can't remember how I came across aspiring solicitors. I've been racking my brain to think how. And I honestly, I don't know, but I tell everybody about it now, all my mentees. Everybody knows about it that speaks to me, I think, all my friends, and I think a number of my colleagues are joining on this live talk as well, but everybody knows about it because of me. And I think it was being able to put my experience, my work experience that I got through aspiring solicitors on my CV that got me my job at Ringrose.
Fantastic, and thank you very much for being such a great supporter of AS. We should thank you for all the work you're doing on that front. And I just want to touch on what you said earlier about the fact that you went to not a target university of these firms, and to this day, unfortunately, a staggering 82% of hires for law firms are Russell Group graduates. So it's an ongoing challenge. Firms are alive to it and beginning to appreciate that people, for many reasons, decide to attend and study at certain institutions that aren't linked to academic ability or anything else. And I think that tide is starting to turn, thankfully. And I think you setting out the obstacle that you had back then, things are improving. I mean, in your experience, the obstacles you faced back then compared to these individuals that you're helping and supporting now, do you feel that things have moved on and that access has improved? For example, compared to if you were looking to enter the profession right now as compared to 7 years ago?
I think it definitely has. I think people are more open to life experience and not necessarily the grades that you've got on paper, because grades don't make everything. You can be fantastic in the classroom. I am the first to admit that I am a little bit rubbish at exams. I struggle with exams, but I'm on my feet every single day in front of magistrates. So my ability there is that I'm a people person. I can sell myself, I can help my clients, but put me in front of an exam and I go to complete pieces. So it is all about the individual, and I think law firms are now starting to realise that it is the individual that counts, and that other things can be bought from them rather than just a first class degree or all A's at A level.
Absolutely agree with that. That's certainly a central part of the advice and the messaging that we're trying to deliver to IAS members. The partner firms that work with us very much embody the things you're talking about. They very much want to hear about real experiences, real work, not these potential individuals that have had that support, had the private education, come through, never done a job before they start. I mean, your bar work and other things that you've done, I'm sure you would feel has really equipped you very well for what you're doing right now. And I think that's something that all AS members could take away from their so-called ordinary everyday experiences.
Yeah, it is. I think bar work is specifically really good because you come across every kind of person and you have to start conversations about anything with anybody because that's your job and it helps you. I am not a shy person. I'll speak my mind. I think from my third or fourth one-to-one, I was putting in there that I wanted to be a partner. When I became a solicitor and qualified, my next step straight away was an associate, and my superiors then were like, calm down. You've only been qualified like a week. And I was like, well, no, I know what I want to be. I know what I want to do. This is what I want to be. So I'm never shy on coming forward. And I know people are, but if you work and show what you want, whether that be direct or by doing the work you're doing or by volunteering, I think that partners and firms can utilise that. And I think they just need to realise that sometimes.
And clearly it served you very, very well. So clearly taking that approach, having that ambition and that drive can lead to results. And it's fantastic that that's something that's worked so well for you. Turning back to the AS support you've touched on, you had this work experience that you did with AS. Tell us a bit more about that and how you felt it opened these doors for you and led to your position with Ringrose.
Yeah, so I was applying for a lot of work experience at the time. I was obviously a mature student, didn't have A-levels. It was difficult to get into anywhere else other than Ringrose, and I felt that I needed something else on my CV to show that I could be utilised in any firm that I went into. As I said, I can't remember how I came across aspiring solicitors. I think it must have been Facebook, but it had only just started. It was right back at the beginning. And they offered some work placements with Lang O'Rourke, which are based in Dartford. and I think at the time it was Barclays, and I think I applied for both of them, and I was successful in getting work experience at Lang O'Rourke. So it was a week's work experience. It was paid, which was fantastic, and there was a hotel right next to the company. So I went to London, had to find childcare, which my mum kindly stepped up to do, and I worked there for the week, and it was absolutely fantastic. I worked in all the departments there, and I wouldn't have had that opportunity. I don't think I would have got in that door if it hadn't been for their link with aspiring solicitors. It showed me that what I wanted to do probably wasn't that kind of company, and I wanted to work in a high street firm. But when I applied to Ringrose Law for a paralegal position, the person that I was interviewing with hadn't met me previously. I was in a different office, so we were able to go through what I'd done, what I'd learnt, the people that I had talked to, the presentation that I had to do in front of a number of people, which was nerve-wracking in itself, about what I'd done that week, because I was one of their first placements. So I was one of the first people that Lang O'Rourke had taken on. All of the people that I'd worked with there, they connected with me on LinkedIn. I still talk to them now. They've all left the firm, but they've gone to different places, but they all still talk to me. They were there through everything, would look at my CV, gave me career advice. And they didn't have to do that, but I really appreciate it, because they were in a high-paid, fast-paced job, and they made the effort to help me. And that is what I do back now for all my mentees at various universities.
Absolutely, and that's that putting that hand back to that down the ladder, isn't it? Giving that time, exactly what you're doing right now, can make such a seismic difference. And talking more generally about your experience of looking to enter the profession, clearly for a period you were a single mother, you were juggling lots of things from a non-traditional background. Did you at any other point feel that the fact that you were non-traditional was somehow a hindrance, or didn't give you confidence, or was that something that you just ploughed on and said, actually, I've got the talent, I want to do this, and I'm not going to let anything stop me?
Yeah, I think it was the ploughing on, to be fair. Ringrose Law were really helpful in that, because it was difficult. Obviously, I had one child in nursery, one child in primary school. They allowed flexible working. If my child was sick, I could work from home. Parents' evenings, that awful working mum guilt that you have when there's an event at the school and they say, if you come, your child can leave school at 2:00, and your child, the only one being sat there till 3:30 because you can't leave work. Ringrose Law aren't about that. They are about working for their staff and making sure that they have that work-life balance. So I think it's really helpful to work for a firm that understands that there is a life outside of working and your chargeable hours.
Absolutely, and that's great to hear, because it took a global pandemic for, I think, many firms to get on board with that type of approach. So it's brilliant that Ringrose were clearly streets ahead in that regard, and it's enabled you to have that balance that you need in your life, to have that personal element and also have the progression. So you've got this role at the firm, they've given you the chance, they're helping support you. How is it that you feel, beyond the ambition, beyond that drive you talked about, that you've been able to get from that situation to where you are now, a partner this year, the first AS alumnus partner, and it's brilliant that it's a woman as well. Of course, we're absolutely ecstatic about that. How do you feel you got from that point to this point in such a short period of time?
Determination and annoyance, probably. Of my head of department, I should imagine. I volunteered for everything. Anything that I could do, anything that the firm needed assistance with, I put my name down there, even if it caused me hassle in regards to childcare or work commitments outside or anything. I would put my name down. I think you've got to show any firm that you're working at that you want to be part of that firm, that you're not using them just for the training contract, or you're not using the work experience just to up your CV. And the firms invest a lot of money in training, in qualification, in yourself. We have staff perks that Ringrose offer. There's a lot of money that's given, and I think some people don't really appreciate that. And I think from all the work that I've been able to do in blogging, firms love blogging. It helps everything with Google searches or getting people's names out there. It takes a couple of minutes, and if you've done a university degree and you've done an essay, you can easily do a 5 to 10 minute blog, whether that be video, or a written blog. And I think that some companies, they don't have anyone that does that. So if there's any students that are out there that are thinking, actually, I've just seen something, I'd really like to do a blog on it, send it. You're only going to get a thank you. You're not going to get a no. I think I've always said, I've done a guest lecture at Lincoln University since I finished, and at the end of it, I put my email address on the end and said, if you've got any questions, or if you think that you'd like some work experience, if I can help you in any way, please email me. By the time I got back to my desk, which is literally up a hill from the university, I had about 56 emails.
Inundated.
So it was difficult, but I got back to everybody, and some of the CVs that I looked at, they weren't the best. They didn't have that experience. They didn't have that background. They didn't have the grades. But I gave them a chance. They can come to court with me, sign a confidentiality form, go through all the health and safety things with the firm. But a day's work experience is not a lot for me, because I'm there anyway. I don't mind having someone shadowing me about, but it can make a massive difference on their CV, and to either say, yes, I love crime, or actually, I absolutely hate it. And it's criminal law is very unique. You either love it or you hate it. You're made for it or you're not. And there is a severe shortage of criminal solicitors. Mm. And if I can get anybody to think, do you know what, I would like to do criminal law, then I'll do that. If there's anybody out there that thinks I just can't get the foot in, then email me. It will take me a while to get back to you. Because I'm extremely busy, but I will get back to everybody. I will look over CVs, or just be that person on the phone. I think 2 of my mentees, I tag them into every training contract vacancy I see on LinkedIn, or every work experience. I'm on the phone to one of them. He's just got first. We were discussing his career and what he wanted to do, and he's so thankful because he said, I just don't have anybody else to talk to. He's from a family that weren't at university. He's the first person to go to university. He's got no friends in the law. His parents don't know anybody that studied law. He didn't have anybody. It takes literally a couple of minutes of my day to say to him, I've seen this for you. I'll be your reference. I know you. I think you'll be good at this. But it means everything to him. And I think that's what it's all about. That if I'm here as a partner now, it's my job and my role basically to try and help the people to get where I am, because I appreciate that after 7 years, it is a really big step. I wasn't expecting it this year at all. My boss called me into the office to say that there'd been a customer complaint or a client complaint. So I was panicking, thinking, I've never had a client complaint in my life. And then he said, oh no, by the way, I just want to see you face to face. Would like to offer you a partnership. So
wow,
fantastic. So I will help anybody. So if there's anybody that thinks I just need that foot up, I don't know anybody, I want to talk to somebody, feel free to get in contact.
Well, very, very kind of you. And we actually are having people jump on your offer in the chat, in the comments straight away, asking for your email. So I think I've got your email address. If you're comfortable with me just typing that in towards the end of the discussion, and we'll do that. Thanks for the comments that are coming in from the audience. Keen for you to give your questions to Bekkie. This is a really good opportunity. She's extremely busy, so this is your chance to ask her about her experience, any views she may have about talent in the future for the profession. We're going to turn to that in a moment anyway, but do get those in, and I'll do my best to cover those in the time we've got left. So, Bekkie, you've talked a bit about this individual that you've helped. I actually saw that LinkedIn post as well, and saw his gratitude and the thanks that he was giving when he had that success off the back of your post. So, you're a mentor. You're available for CV reviews. Why do you think it's important for people like yourselves to do that? Why do you? Given you've got so little time, why is it that you go and spend your time doing that on top of everything else that you're juggling?
I think it's because I had the help from you, and I think it's scary and it's soul destroying when you're getting knocked back continuously and you start to doubt yourself. Can I do this? Well, anybody can do it. You need to put your mind to it. Even with a third, I know it's difficult to get into anywhere with a third, but go and do extra and beyond activities to show that actually, okay, I may have messed up a little in my undergrad. It's a lot of money to do your LPC, and I know a lot of people that I speak to worry about doing their LPC because they might not get a training contract or the SQE as it's coming in. But I think it's always good to have someone in your corner, and I'll be that person when people don't have someone in their corner, because I think everybody deserves it. I had my mum and my nan fighting my corner and waving the banner for me, and my husband now, and everybody that I work with, my best friends that I work with. I've made friends for life at Ringrose Law. I can't imagine ever leaving. And I've had job offers, numerous job offers, but I've never left, because this is the place for me. And I think there's a place for everybody, and there's a company for everybody. And some people just need that assistance in believing in themselves. And it's difficult if you've been knocked back or bullied at school, or from a care background. Me and my husband are just about to hopefully be signed up as foster parents. We go to panel in September. So I'm all about helping the underdog, shall we say, with someone that doesn't have someone on their side, because I'm outspoken, and I'll stand up for people that don't have anybody else to stand up for them. I think that's just the kind of personality trait that my mother's instilled into me, I think.
Well, thank you, Bekkie. We obviously really appreciate it. Back then, AS had a certain number of opportunities. You jumped on those, you took advantage of them, and it benefited you. We probably haven't caught up about how AS has transformed from where it was then to where it is now. But given that you accessed those at that time, and now things are quite different for each AS member, we're really grateful that even though we only gave you that little leg up, and you took it from there, that you're giving all this time and giving all that support to individuals, which is very much appreciated. In terms of what your own future ambitions are to continue to do what you're doing, mentoring, on top of foster parents, and congratulations on that as well. I imagine there's a finite amount of time you can give to it, but what do you think you'd love to achieve in the next 5-10 years in terms of continuing to support the people like that individual that got the first recently?
I think it's just about seeing them succeed. Some people will do a law degree, and I'll help them through that and help them train, and they decide that actually law's not for them. But for Jacob, who got the first, we weren't expecting that. He wasn't expecting that. And it was really good when he got that. And then we discussed what was going to happen next. And I was really proud of him. Another one of the ladies that I mentor, she's just got a job as a Crown prosecutor, trainee solicitor. And she came with me for a couple of days to the police station, and she used that in her interview. So to see people succeed, even in-house. So we've got a girl that started as an office junior, and she's making her way up, and she's just done her undergrad at Open University and just successfully passed that. So we're really into this at Ringrose as well, as in bringing up our people from office junior, for example, and working your way through. And this is what I do with Lincoln University. For their third year students, they do a placement at a law firm for people that don't have the best CVs, that they're specifically picked for that reason. And a lot of firms in Lincoln cover that third year placement, but how I run it for Ringrose is that they come in, and it's for 13 weeks. I get them for 1 day a week for half a day, but I promote them every week. So they start as an office junior, and they work all the way up to week 11 when they become a partner. So they work with everybody, they work across the whole firm, and then the last 2 weeks I say to them, what do you want to do? What do you think, what department do you think that you want to work in? And then I give them those last 2 days to work in those departments, because there's nothing worse than going into an interview and them going, why do you want to work in personal injury? Or I don't know, just do. Whereas if you can say, actually, I've done a day, I know what it entails, I did a day in employment, absolutely hated it, then you can use that. So that's how I do it, so that they've got everything for their CV. And I think that I've kept in contact with the majority of the people that went through that with us, and they really appreciate it. And I know that we run it differently to any other law firm that do that.
Fantastic, and a great blueprint, I think, for other firms looking to give them that experience, because just understanding the role and what the job actually involves sounds simple, but actually for a lot of people it's quite difficult to understand and appreciate from the outside. And to gain that appreciation and understand and be able to give authentic, compelling reasons as to why you think you'd be good at that, it sounds small, but actually it makes a big difference. So I think it's great that that's having that impact and that effect. We are having a lot of questions come in. I am very conscious of your time. We've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to jump to those questions now. A lot of it is around the theme of advice, and if you were a first-year student right now, what advice do you think you'd give to an AS member now who's 18, 19, just starting uni or done their first year of university with a view to their career? What do you think they're well advised to do?
I think probably, if this will go against what everybody else is going to say, I should imagine, but I think in your first year, I think just enjoy university. Find your way of how to do your essays. In my first year, I was getting 2 2s in my essays. By the third year, I was getting firsts in all my essays. So just find yourself, the way that you study. It's completely different being at university than it is to being at school, or as a mature student being in employment. So just find yourself in that first year. It's the second year that you really need to set yourself goals. So whether that be work experience, volunteering, mooting. I didn't join a mooting team. I hated it at university, but now I'm on my feet every day in court. But I don't know why. I didn't enjoy it at university. But join the clubs, join the Law Society. Take up any opportunities, free courses. A lot of chambers, so barristers' chambers, do courses that you can click on. You don't have to talk, you don't have to do anything, but you can listen to what they're saying and the law and what you would work in if you went into that set. And I think that's what you need to start concentrating on in year 2. So year 1, find yourself, find your way of working, make friends, because you'll need a support network around you when you will get those emails to say that you've not been successful in a work experience placement. You need people around you to say, do you know what, you will be able to do this, brush yourself off, come on, let's go out and then start again. So I think other people will probably say apply for everything in your first year. We don't take work experience from first years for that reason, because I think it's best that you know that it's what you want to do, because a lot of people finish university after the first year and decide not to go back because it's just not for them. So don't put that pressure on yourself. Year 2, pressure starts. Year 3, you're there, but just that would be my advice for first year.
I think that's really important, because sadly, with the fee changes, since when we were at university, naturally students feel very transactional about how they look at university as being a means in which they can get a certain job after university, and they think of it very much in those terms, when the university experience, that friendships, the stuff you've talked about, is forgotten and actually stops you becoming a well-rounded individual that actually is sort of suitable to be a great lawyer. So I think it's what you've said there is really, really important. So thank you for saying that. Another question we've got from Gabrielle is, what do you think are some of the key skills you need to be a great criminal solicitor?
I think it's difficult being a criminal defence solicitor, because we always say that you will hate us unless you need us. So when you see sentencing, a lot of people on social media will be hating on us, that they don't want us there, they think we shouldn't defend people. So you have to have a thick skin of that. It is a very rewarding job, but it can be a very depressing job. You see people at their worst moment that they can possibly, whether they've done it, and they need your help in regards to the sentencing and the procedures in court. But you've got to be confident. My phone is on 24/7, and you can imagine with my husband also being a criminal defence solicitor, we are on the phone all of the time. All of our clients have our mobile phone numbers, because they will wake up at 10 at night and panic. I think I need to ask my solicitor this, and we will answer. You're on call 24/7 for the police station. So it is hard work, and there's no getting away from that, but it is extremely rewarding. I had a case 2 weeks ago where we got a not guilty verdict, and everyone agreed. I think every defence solicitor in Lincoln was waiting for this not guilty verdict because it was the right one. But it was soul destroying waiting for that week. I had a work experience person with me that week, and by day 2 he was like, I'm waking up in the morning thinking about this, I'm going to sleep thinking about this, like, how do you do this? By the 4th day or 5th day when we got the not guilty, he was like, right, I see how you do this. But I've taken somebody on work experience before, took him down to the cells. We came back up from the cells and he said, can I go for my lunch? I was like, it's 10:30, but yeah, you're on work experience. You don't have to stay with me if you don't want to. Be free. And he never came back. He said, it's just not for me. He said, I thought criminal was for me. It's not. I want to go into a corporate firm. So you have to be thick-skinned. You have to be understanding, non-judgmental, because you come across everything. And you do have, you're a certain kind of person if you can do criminal defence, I would say. But it's very rewarding. My friendship circle is amazing. Our wedding, which was only 2 years ago, was, well, if you were arrested in Lincolnshire that night, you were in trouble. Because everyone was at our wedding. But it's a really, really nice group of people to work in, and it's very supportive of each other.
Fantastic to hear. We've got time for one more. I think Zay has asked an interesting question as well. I've been wondering this myself during the course of this interview. How do you balance work and home life? And I've had a look at your profile on the website, and I don't know how you find time to do those hobbies. Do you still find the time to do those at the moment?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, I do. I think it is all about, criminal defence is a little bit different to any other department, because we'll start work at 7 in the morning, for example, when someone's arrested, but then we'll finish at 3, 4 o'clock. It swings and roundabouts kind of with our hours, but my work-life balance and the way that Ringrose work is extremely good. I take my children to their football matches. I loan a horse that I see 5 times a week. I go to the gym most mornings, so it is there. You can fight for it. I think maybe Magic Circle firms, London firms that expect you to be in the office, it would probably be difficult. But that's why high street practices are good for some people, because I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to go to a sports day. I wanted to be able to leave early so I could go pick up my brother's child from nursery, because I've not done that before. And that's why I work in a high street firm. Weekends are a struggle. My kids understand what we do. We're very clear with them what we do. And they get the lecture if I've been at the police station with a child for something, and I'll come home and be like, right, we need to discuss this. Like, oh gosh, you've just been at the police station with a child, haven't you? I'm like, yes. But they understand, and my clients understand. I'm very clear with all of my clients. If you call me and I can't answer, I won't, but I will call you back. If I'm at a football match, I won't answer the phone, but I'll call you back afterwards. So clients just want to know that you're there, but it doesn't mean that your family have to come to the background whilst you're supporting your clients. I love my life, to be fair. I cannot disagree.
Please hear it.
Life balance. And
you get the time for the Lee Child novels in Greece, I expect. So I'm sure they've got plenty of time to fit them in.
Lee Child is my favourite author. Read as soon as I get his books. It's a day off work.
Yeah.
Reading it. Phone on silent.
Excellent. I think that's all we've got time for. In a bid to embrace the advice we were giving earlier about seizing opportunities, AS is now open to registrations for the commercial awareness competition. If you go to our Linktree link on our profile page of Instagram, you can access that. We've got our flagship diversity events. And it would be brilliant, Bekkie, actually, if you have the time to come along to one of these events, whether it's social mobility, working families. I can send you details afterwards. It would be fantastic to have you on a panel in front of a virtual room now these days of 100, 200 people. And I can link up with you afterwards. If you have got the time between everything to fit it in, we'd love to have you on there as well. And really, all I want to say is a major congratulations on becoming the first AS alumnus to become a partner. It's been a pleasure talking to you today and to hear about your experiences at Ringrose Law. Thank you for making the time. I'm conscious you've got to get to court. So thanks again to our audience as well for all their input, engagement. The likes have been flying in throughout the course of today based on a lot of things you've been saying, Bekkie, and you've given people a lot of hope, belief and desire to follow in your footsteps. And many more people will be watching this video once it's shared as an IGTV. For people that join halfway through, the full chat and interview is available there shortly after we end this. So thanks, Bekkie, for everything, and best of luck with your court case this afternoon.
Thank you so much. And again, if anybody wants any assistance, I will make the time for anybody, and I'd love to join any panels. So yeah, just make contact with me. My address will be put on. It may take me a while to get back to people, but I will give that advice, because I think that is my duty to do so as a former AS member.
And we're eternally grateful to you for that. Thanks for flying in as well, a comment as well about everything you've shared today. So thanks again. And I'll certainly be in touch about those panel events. Thanks again. Good luck this afternoon, and speak soon.
Lovely. Thanks. Thank you.